9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell and 28-year-old Ashley Dale were murdered 2 years ago in Liverpool, just 48 hours apart.
The investigation into their deaths by Merseyside police forms part of a new 4-part documentary, which is the first time in 24 years that the force has allowed its work to be filmed. Take a look.
Ashley's been at home there on a Saturday evening. At what point is the expectation that your front door is going to get forced and you're going to have somebody coming in with a firearm? There's just no words for it. It's just, you know, it's beyond belief. You want to apprehend these people as soon as possible. There's people walking around with a firearm prepared to use it, and prepared to use it, you know, against a female in her own home. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting.
This is a high-profile Category A murder investigation.
So, the fatal shooting of Olivia Pratt-Corbell, it's come in at just 10 o'clock last night. We have 3 injured parties. The primary victim is Olivia Pratt-Corbell, 9 years of age, with 1 gunshot wound to the chest. The second victim is Olivia's mother, Cheryl Corbell, with a gunshot injury to her wrist. Tragically, she has been made aware of the news about Olivia.
We're joined now by Ashley's mum, Julie, and Detective Chief Inspector Cath Cummings, who led the investigation into Ashley's murder. Good morning.
Good morning.
You two know each other pretty well now, don't you?
Yes,
We do now.
We do, yes.
What a shame that you do. It's you know, this has come about. Listen, it's the first time in a long time that we've been allowed to see the force's work. Did you know this was happening? And how did you feel in terms of what the point of the series is?
So we were told probably about 18 months ago about the documentary. Cath came to see us at home and she told us, excuse me, that this documentary was being filmed basically by Merseyside, well, by LA Productions. And she says, I've got something to tell you. So, like, oh. So she said, there's a documentary being filmed. It's followed us all the way through both investigations. You know, and we were just like, I didn't know what to think at that time.
What would you have been concerned about? Like, as in, what wouldn't you have wanted, or what would you have been concerned about in terms of how the story was told?
I just felt, because I feel like this happens to other people. You watch this on the television to other people. It doesn't happen to you, but it has happened to us, and it's just surreal. The whole situation is just, you know, everything's just surreal about it.
And I suppose what's interesting, Cath, is you do this in your job. Well, you would be expected to have a high level of respect and consideration, not just for the victims, but for the families of the victims, the survivors of a crime. But that would be under scrutiny as well, wouldn't it? You would be aware of that. And also, when you've got families and you've got someone like Julie who wants answers, you know, they want to see how hard you are working and how determined you are.
I was more nervous of anything to tell Julie was about the documentary and timing that right. But yeah, having the crew with us, they've been with us for about 5 or 6 months before to look at how Merseyside deal with serious organised crime, and then, you know, this, you know, it was horrendous the week that we'd had, and then Ashley's murder, and then you're thinking, gosh, all this is now going to be on the TV. What's this going to look like? Are we going to do Julie proud? Which I hope we did. But yeah, it was very nerve-wracking thinking everything I'm doing now is being watched, everything the team are doing is being watched, and then when Julie then sees this, what's she going to think?
What did you think?
When we watched it, it was hard, very, very hard watch. But I'm glad it's been done. I'm glad we were able to have a part of it and have a say and give Ashley a voice, and also to tell our story and come into our home and see us as a family of how this has affected us and what this does to you, you know, and how it affects every aspect of your life.
Such an important part of this, isn't it? And I know, of course, you had to go through the trial.
Yeah.
And then you work on your statement,
yes,
your impact statement.
Yeah.
That in itself must have been incredibly hard, and we see and hear you agonising over that. And then you have a moment in court as well, which you referenced in the documentary. Are you happy to talk a little bit about that? Because it's become such an, I think, and you can tell me, for people, the relatives of victims, that moment is very, very important. Yeah. Tell me a bit about that.
So I was told sort of early on, pre-trial, before we had a trial date, by our family liaison officer, that, you know, you have this opportunity to write a victim impact statement, and I will have an opportunity to read it out in court. And I said, no way, no way. I couldn't stand up in front of a crowd of people just in a general, you know, circumstance and talk. I couldn't. So then the time got closer and I started writing it. And then I just got this fire in my belly from somewhere. I don't know where it came from. And I just did it. I got up there and I did it. I read it out. Don't remember much of the, you know, actually when I read it. But yeah, I just felt like it was my chance to be able to speak to the defendants as well.
That is in front of the defendants?
Yes. The
people who have been found guilty. Yes. So you're doing it in front of them?
Yes.
And that presumably in itself is very significant.
Yes, yeah. Because we sat for 8 weeks with them looking at us. There was no remorse. There was no upset. No, they didn't appear sorry. Nothing. So I felt that was my chance to be able to speak to them and put my message across.
Do you think they heard it?
Yes, I think James Witham got up and walked out of the dock when I addressed him.
As you were talking?
Yes, yeah.
And what did you take that to mean?
Well, I don't actually remember him walking out the dock till after the event, because it was just such a blur to me. But yeah, because I addressed him by name and I looked at him and I said, I hope you see my baby girl's face every night like I do when I go to sleep, when he got up and walked out the dock.
I can tell you for sure, Julie, that everyone listening to you will be just thinking that's remarkable, you know, just to do that remarkable, and hoping that you get something from that. And I think you described that you have. Cath, during the programme, the documentary, we get a real sense of the relationship that you have, in this case, with Julie. Because there are times when you have breakthroughs and things happen, and almost the first thing you do, somebody who's in charge of the investigation, we literally see you putting your coat on and saying, I've got to go and see the family.
Yeah.
And that's, I've not seen that before in a documentary, and it's very revealing about, it's not about priorities, is it? But the part of the process that you think you must do. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, like you said then, Julie has always been my priority, and the wider family, of course. So when any developments happen, when anything happened, I just wanted to make sure Julie knew about it first, before anybody. And we had ups and downs in the investigation, didn't we? And how it was going. It was really fast-paced, but yeah, it was absolutely.
What ups and downs?
On the phone.
I'm going to be nosy here. What ups and downs did you have?
You have good breakthroughs and things slow down slightly, and you're thinking, oh, we need this footage and we need it viewing, and there's so many, you know, I say hours in the day, but you want everything watched. But I mean, you saw the minutiae and the level of detail that we went into, and you were shot through the trial, and said, I can't believe you've been this area of the country, you found that out, that was months ago.
So much.
Do you know, one of the things that came out from both those Cummings, Olivia Pratt-Cordell and Ashley, was this culture of not grassing, right? And it's kind of inherent in our culture. You learn it in school, don't you? You don't grass on your friends or whatever. But this, particularly with Olivia Pratt-Cordell, there was a change in mindset. And I'm looking at you, Julie, because I'm thinking, you saw it.
Yeah.
You saw what people weren't saying, who wasn't saying things. How difficult was it at that moment in time, just witnessing that, knowing the pain your family was in and the injustice that had happened?
Very difficult. I mean, you sort of have to try and step back a little bit and think, OK, well, I get people are scared, but then that doesn't help you as a mum wanting your daughter's murder to be solved, and people aren't talking. So you try and, you know, you can't put yourself in their shoes because you think, well, you know, you just want these people to talk. This is real life. It's not a game. You know, it's not like you say telling on somebody in the playground. This is real life. This is our life. This is serious. Yeah, and so it's hard that people aren't talking.
Cath, this is your work. So you no doubt have sat through many interrogations, investigations where you've watched someone do the no comment thing. And in the documentary, you see that over an extended period of time, you constantly present the person sitting there with more information about what you know, suggestions to them. This goes on for minutes on end, people just sitting there saying, no comment, no comment. It becomes in itself sort of compelling, doesn't it? Because are you looking for signs, you're looking at their faces. You've seen these images too, obviously. But it's very intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And given that they're not speaking at all, you're looking for reactions. You're looking for a moment when they maybe give something away.
Yeah, you know, going no comment, sometimes it's really frustrating or extremely frustrating. But, you know, when you're then delivering further evidence to the individual, you're right, looking for that reaction. I mean, there was a moment there where we were downstream monitoring, so watching live James Witham being interviewed. And it was easy to say no comment, because it's a response after every single question because they're zoning out of what you're asking them. And the only time his body language represented that he was now listening was when we started going through the evidence. And that was very difficult for him not to react. He could stay quiet, but it was very difficult for him.
As in the detail?
The level of detail, the level of evidence that we had stacked against him, that was the only time he displayed any kind of motion in that interview that he was actually now paying attention to what was being said to him.
2 years on now. It's 2 years on this month.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
How are you doing? I mean, you're on national television, you're talking to us on Breakfast, and people will just be watching you go, wow, how's she doing this? And it's, you know, this programme, yes, it showcases the police's work, great, but it showcases what families go through, and that's what I think a lot of people will hopefully think about. But where are you at now? It's
just still surreal. I describe it that I'm looking in on somebody else's life right now, and that's how it feels. Like I'm watching somebody's life unfold in front of me, but it's my life, it's our life. And I have, you know, okay days. I don't say I have good days, because I don't, and I'll have, you know, but worse days. But I've got 2 other little girls as well who are my lifeline. They keep me going every day. Without them, you know, they're my driving force to get up every morning, because you know, they've lost enough. They can't then now lose me as a person, as a mum. I have to keep going for them. So,
well, talking to you both has been really revelatory, really interesting, and I hope useful for just others to be able to see when they watch this programme, the work that's being done and the impact this has on families. And thank you for coming on and talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.